Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for Trinity Stamps. Today I am using the Summer Gnome Fun Stamps and Dies, the Backyard Pool Stamps and Dies, Simply Sentimental, Dad, and then I think I ended up using the Friendship one, but I pulled out a couple of other ones because this is the card that I made for my husband for Father's Day. And so I didn't have anything specifically that was like, to my husband or something like that. So I ended up kind of creating my own sentiment, which filled the need that I had without being directly like husbandy. So this is the Backyard Pool stamp set. I really love this because you guys know I love scenes and the whole scene is laid out here. But today we're going to make it a little bit more interactive. Did we have a talk? I feel like we did talk about this. Maybe not. Okay, we'll come back to it. But anyway, we're going to make this one more interactive. I am using this, like I said, for a Father's Day card, but you could use any kind of characters with this. You could use a bunch of different characters from that Summer Gnome Fun set. I just used one because I'm a theme girly, okay? I like to match my husband's card to his gift so that there is like a little theme. So for example, like my kid's gift, Nathan's old enough to pick his out. Caitlin is, I have a little bit more say. So we got him a sign that says, you're the best dad, hands down. And then you put little handprints on it. Let's go back to the card real quick. So here I've stamped out my scene and now I've replaced that cardstock and I'm doing what we call second generation stamping, which is really hard to see, but it does leave a little bit of an outline. And the purpose of that is because for my interactive portion, I need to know where the pool colors, need to go, like where the shading needs to go to make sense in the pool. And so that second generation stamping is going to let me know where I need to do it. So this is just, like I said, I just picked the one little guy because that was going to match my theme. Here, I'm trying to show you that just a little bit closer up. So now we're going to do the ink blending. This is that second generation piece because the die cut for the Backyard Pool will cut out the pool and then it will also cut out the fence line. So I'm using Salvage Patina and Salty Ocean with my blending buddies to create a sky. And then I'm also going to add in, I think it's Mermaid Lagoon and Uncharted Mariner to add some depth to my pool. So I like to do mine twice. The blending buddies are probably my favorite way to add ink, because they pick up a lot of ink and it goes down nice and smooth. And then I don't have to, work my arm out of socket. So you can see I'm kind of creating like an oval with the Salvage Patina. And then that way I'm going to be able to add some shading kind of around that same area and leave the center lighter, which is typically how your pool looks. And when when it's sunny out, that it looks a little bit like it's lighter in the middle, even though it's not. It's all clear water, right? And it just looks blue because it's reflecting either the liner or the sky. And so when it meets around those edges, it does have a tendency to look a little bit darker, but really it's all the same. So here, I'm adding the darkest part to the front and the lightest part to the back edge, and that's because of the view that we're having. So we're almost like standing in front of it, like looking out at it. So you wouldn't see it in its entirety of its circle shape. You would see it as more of like an oval. And the side would cast a little bit of a shadow onto the water. So that's why we get that darker piece down at the bottom. So hopefully it will all make sense. Right now, it just looks like a big blobby oval, but I promise you there is there is a thought process behind it, and hopefully you'll be able to see it kind of come together. So now I'm going to go ahead and die cut out the pool. And then I didn't want to do them together because I wasn't sure like pressure wise, I didn't want to have any marks on my background. So I did the pool first, and then after that is done and removed, you can see there, we've, taken it out. Then I will go back in. Here I'm just checking to make sure my pool water makes sense, and it does. And now I'll bring back that little zigzag border for the fence line to cut that out. So, what were we talking? We were talking about themes. That's what we were talking about. Am I the only one who does that? Do you guys do themes for your cards and your gifts? Like if you're the one making the card. So now I'm happy with the way that this is looking, but we do need to start coloring up our scene. Now, I do want to say that here it is. It's a B00. If you guys remember, I know it's been a while since I've been over on the Trinity Stamps channel. I was having a terrible issue with like the blurriness of my screen. So I have adjusted it so that it wouldn't be blurry, but now I can't get it to pick up my numbers as well. So I apologize. All of the stuff is linked below. So now what I did was I colored in the edge to match the sky, and you'll see that I'm going to do that with my little, my floating dad character. I'm going to do the same thing, or as close as I can get to it. But otherwise, like I kept everything pretty simple. The fence, there's shading where they meet each other, and then shading where they're kind of meeting the ground. So that's how I added my shading and just kind of streaked it up. So anyway, the kids, so I bought him this, this sign that's like, you're the best dad, hands down, and then you put the kids' handprints on it. So in coordination for their theme, I used my brayer to roll the kids' hands with some acrylic paint, and then they put their handprints all over some white cardstock. And then I just white heat embossed because Peanut was blue and Little Miss Jellybean was purple. So I used some like navy cardstock and just heat embossed a little Happy Father's Day sentiment and put it on there. But obviously it managed the theme. It matched. It matched the theme. So what I got him, this is the card from me, right? What I got him for Father's Day was a robot vacuum cleaner for the pool. So my husband loves the technologies. And like we have a Roomba because of him. I don't use the Roomba. I don't like it. He enjoys those types of things. Same thing with like what did I get him? It was for Christmas. He desperately wanted a wireless vacuum. So that's what I bought him because, hey, it's your Christmas gift. And if that's what you want, that's fine. For me, no, thank you. So anyway, that is what I purchased him. So do you ever just feel like sometimes like life is just getting you? Like it doesn't matter what you do or what's going on. Life is just like, here is a soup sandwich, enjoy. Because that's kind of how I have felt a little bit lately. And I know that there's a purpose for it. So I try not to dwell on it. I try to laugh about it more than not. So let me tell you a couple of ways in which this has just been like, are you kidding me? So my husband has wanted this pool vacuum cleaner for quite some time, because he does do the majority of taking care of the pool, which I greatly appreciate. He's the vacuumer. He's the one who keeps track of the chemicals. Like he does all of those things because he's awesome and fantastic. Let's talk about the card. So here you can see like the back of the pool, just like how it rounds out. Because obviously if you're standing in front of it, you wouldn't see the side. So what I'm doing is I chose to color it blue, because that is what traditionally most pool liners are. And your pool liner does go all the way up to the edge, like where it's capped off. This definitely appears to be more of an in-ground pool. But even with an in-ground pool, you would still have that liner that kind of goes all the way up to the edge. So that's how I chose to color that blue. And then for the pavers, like the wood pavers that are kind of around the edge, I chose to do those like a cool gray color, just a nice neutral. Our pool actually has like a gray ring, and then we put like drainage rocks around it, and then we did put pavers which are gray. So that's kind of how I chose the color scheme. Here I'm doing the same thing that I did with the sky. I'm coloring the edge so that my edges are kind of going to blend in with my background of my ink blending. Sometimes you do have to kind of play around with the colors a little bit, especially if you're trying to match ink blending to try to get it as close as you can. All of this is obviously not going to be seen because of our character and also because of our sentiment. But I do try to get it as close as possible. If you don't have an exact match, like I said, don't sweat it, because we have a lot of other things going on in this card that you won't have to worry about all of that. So here with the pavers, it's kind of the same idea, because we're going to see more of what's in front and less of what's in the back, which is the opposite of the pool liner. It's going to be darker in the back for the pavers and lighter in the front. And so I'm adding some shading for the ones in the front, around the front of it, and for the ones in the back of the part that's closest to the pool. I'm also, because again, we're talking about, shadows where things meet, where each one of these pavers meet, it is going to be a little bit of a shadow. So I didn't necessarily carry it all the way up the line, but I did just flick a little bit of color, and then I'll go over that with my C3 and then with my C1. If I wanted these to be white, I wouldn't be quite as heavy-handed, but I am looking for them to be gray. So filling them in entirely with this combination is going to give me that kind of gray look. You could definitely do a lot more with like the texture of it and things, but I feel like because it's going to be a shaker, all eyes are going to be on that shaker part. And so I don't really need to do a ton with the background to make it sing. So for the grass, I am just going to I'm not even going to add shadows to all of the areas where the grass lines are drawn. I just know it's going to be darker in the back, like closest to the pool. And then it's going to be lighter, like along the fence line or where the pieces are drawn that they're sticking up. So I know those parts are going to be a little bit lighter. But other than that, we're basically just filling this in with our yellow-green markers. If you don't like a yellow-green, you can use a different combination. I did this color combination and then one that was more of a true green for like the little bush, but you could also do them both the same. Maybe just make one a little bit darker than the other so you have some contrast. Also, because this is a larger area, like here, that little like break that I had to take is because I needed to refill my marker. So if you're going to be coloring a large expanse of area with one color, you do want to make sure that it is nice and full. Otherwise you will get some streaking and your blending will not be as smooth, and you probably won't be as happy with your desired, you probably won't be able to achieve your desired outcome. So anyway, back to how life is like. It ain't for you, girl. So I ordered him this pool cleaner because I knew that he had wanted one for quite some time and it would make him happy. And so I ordered it on Amazon after I did some research into finding it, because that's another thing my husband loves. He loves to do some research. Loves it. Me, not so much. But so I went on there, I looked, I found one, I bought it off of Amazon, I clicked in there, this is a gift. This is a gift. And then, a couple of days later when it came, my grocery order was also being dropped off at the same time. So I went to go out to get my groceries at the same time that my husband was getting home, and we kind of met each other on the porch. And as we were getting the groceries, I see sitting on my porch in its own box, okay? It's not in another box. It's not in an Amazon box. It's in its own product box, his Father's Day gift, staring him right in the face. I'm like, are you kidding me? Really? So I was like, well, happy Father's Day. 2 weeks early. I'm like, do you want to just use it or do you want me to wrap it? And he was like, no, you can wrap it. So I was like, that's a bummer because, you always do like to, I love a surprise. So I do like to be able to, surprise him. Here, I am going in, I'm just a 3-color blend for this for his little skin, like his fingers and toes. But I am going in with my darkest color first. This is a small area, and I know that can be a little bit overwhelming. So if you're apprehensive about your coloring or where you would add your shading, just start with your lightest color. There's no shame in it. And then, as you are putting in your lightest color, using that to lay down your shadows, then you can be more comfortable going in with your darker color over top of that to know where it needs to go. So I added some shadows on his cheeks, obviously, because you can barely see them. On the underneath of his nose, his arms, in between his fingers, underneath his toes, at the bottom of his feet, and that little line where his foot is, I added shadows there as well. And then just worked out to that lightest color. For his beard, this is a luxurious beard. My husband does have what he calls a beard. His does not look like this. His is not nearly as luxurious as this gnome's is. His is more patchy. He would probably, it's just not... He loves the beard. I don't love the beard, but it is what it is because I've said my piece about it and, he's decided to do what he wants to do. So anyway, his beard thus far is still dark. He has not gotten the salt and peppers yet. I look forward to when that day comes so that I can put it into my drawings because he likes to tease me all the time about being old. But anyway, so... and then I chose to do his outfit red because that's my husband's favorite color. And then I did the float and the drink and the diving board orange because that is blue's complement. So I know that they would look very nice together. So anyway, so I'm like, yeah, that is a bummer. Totally missed out on the surprise of his little gift. That was very sad. I was not happy about it. So I also had ordered the kids' gifts. Peanut had picked out a monogrammed lunch box for him. It was a larger, cooler type one that he wanted to get him. And then I had gotten some things for, the papas, his dad, my dad. And I ordered my husband this frame. So I get... all of it comes, right? Very excited. And then, so I have to wait for him to go to bed so I can open it up and check out all of the things. And so I'm going through and everything is all, personalized and it's wonderful. And I'm looking at all the different things. And the bottom part of the box is the biggest item, which is this frame. And I go to lift it up because it's just wrapped in bubble wrap. The frame is shattered. It wasn't glass because the board, it's more like I don't know how to say, it's not plastic, but maybe more like a resin, the board for the handprints. And it is sealed inside the frame and, but there's no glass, but the frame is busted. There's, wood sticking out of it. There's little pieces, parts of shards of wood. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So the gift that I got him, he knows about. The gift that's from one of the gifts from the kids is busted. So thankfully, and I will give them credit, it was Personalization Mall. I went on there, I was it came... I didn't even have to talk to anybody. I just went on there and was like, do you have an issue with your order? I was like, yeah, it came broken. And within 3 days, I had the new one. Now that wasn't quite fast enough for Father's Day, but I just told him don't take it out of the box because it's broke. But here, this is what it's supposed to be. Back to the card. So this part I did use a little bit of a lighter red for his glasses because like the goggles, you would see through them, but it's not going to look exactly the same as it would without the goggles, because maybe they're tinted or, there's a sun glare off of them. So I did go with a little bit of a lighter color. And then his drink, I did orange to match his floaty and his diving board. We don't have a diving board. Our pool is not deep enough for that, but it is a very cute accessory to have. So I was like, this is not working out for me, unfortunately. And so I was feeling bad so then I was talking to my mother-in-law on the phone, and we were talking about different things or whatever. And I was like, I'm like, he already knows what I got him for Father's Day anyway, because it was on the porch. And she was like, oh, he does? And I was like, yeah, I got him this robot vacuum thing. And she goes, oh my God, that's what we bought him. So my in-law, I bought him a robot vacuum cleaner for the pool. My in-laws bought him a robot vacuum cleaner for the pool. The gift that I got from the kids is busted. It was just like one thing after another, like to the point where literally like you just had to laugh because otherwise you would cry. So it was a little bit crazy. So I just told, because my mother-in-law was like, do you think we should take it back? And I was like, no, just give it to him. And he loves the research anyway. He can pick out which one he wants, and the other one will return and he can get another something that he wants for the Blackstone or the pool or whatever. So for my sentiment, like I told you guys earlier, I had to kind of like piecemeal it together. So I ended up using, I believe it's a portion of the friendship, Simply Sentimental Friendship. I'm just going to double check. It is. So the saying normally would be like, thank you for being a wonderful friend. And I changed it to thank you for being a wonderful dad, which is going to suit my need, obviously, as a card for my husband, because he is a wonderful dad. My children are very lucky to have him. And so those don't have a die. They just get trimmed into labels. The dad, is part of the Simply Sentimental Dad. And so you can either stamp it and die cut it, or you can die cut the inside and the outside. I chose to die cut the inside and the outside. So this is me just putting the white letters onto that kind of shadow. And then I'm just going to stack them. I did trim the sentiments because the thank you for being a is connected. But I just trimmed them so that it would stack a little bit nicer. Now let's get into the shaker part of this, okay? So I have a 5x7 piece of acetate. I am going to trim that because I don't need the whole thing. I'm just going to fit it to the part that I need. And in order to stick this down, I am going to use, oh, you know what? I forgot I stamped this. You could probably skip this part. I only did it because I knew like if the card was standing up, you'd be able to see into the pool. But do I know if it's that big of a deal? Not really. They have little waves you can stamp into the pool. Like if you're just using it as a stamp, which is really, really cute. So I did choose to stamp them in there. I left my little guy in there so that I could stamp the waves around him in a way that would make sense. And then I just chose a like tealish blue color to stamp them down in. You could even probably, I don't love the way Distress Inks stamp, but because you're not going to see a ton of it, you could probably even just use those. Maybe the Mermaid Lagoon would be a good one. And then I'm going to use some of the Rip and Stick tape from Trinity to hold down my acetate. I have tried using liquid glue in the past and it works, but it does take a minute to dry. Using a dry adhesive is better. And I don't own very many tape rollers, so this tape works really well for me. Now, I did have to put down quite a bit, because I originally, I started going around the edge and I was like, wait a minute, my acetate is not even that big anyway. So then once I got all the tape, the backer peeled off, I went ahead and did put the acetate down. So now you can see that's, floating over our pool. And then the tape that I am going to use is the tape from Pear Blossom Press. This is Pear Blossom Press makes all like the lights, and Trinity has several sets that go with them. Oh my, there's a sale and I completely forgot to mention it. Ooh, I'll come back to that in a minute. So anyway, these are already double thick because Amanda from Pear Blossom Press like does have the lights, and typically you do have to do 2 rows of foam tape. But you use 2 rows of foam tape to do shaker cards as well, especially if you have a lot that you're going to put in there. This gives it enough height for everything to move around freely, but you do need to make sure that your foam tape is butted right up against each other. There cannot be any gaps because your filling will run out, especially if you have smaller like rhinestones or sequins in there. So you can see I'm doing like a rectangle, but then I'm also going around the inside of that oval and making sure that my foam is touching. I completely forgot that Trinity was having a sale. It's our 7th birthday sale. It's 25% off all Trinity Stamps branded products, including their discounted products. And it runs through the 22nd. There is a code HAPPY7 that you put in at checkout to get your 25% off discount, but I will link that below. And you have a couple more days to shop that if you're interested. I apologize for completely blanking on that. So anyway, we did have a very good Father's Day, even though getting the presents here was quite a job. So I just grabbed several different, I love Trinity's embellishments. You guys know that if you've watched my channel. So I just grabbed a couple of different ones. I used the Razzleberry Bubbles. That's one of my favorites. The Aussie Opal Rhinestones. The Clear Twinkle Rhinestones. And then I used those teal hearts. These are... Oh, it doesn't say what the name of it is on there. I will definitely link them below. There was like these little ocean colored hearts. I use those as well. And I kind of just dumped them all into my little holder. I probably used too much. Well, I know I used too much because I didn't even put all of it in there and it was still really nice and full. And then I'm going to finish putting it together by putting my little dad in there, my hubby, floating around with his drink because his little robot vacuum is doing all the work and he can relax. And then I did try to match the background, just coloring in that white outline. It's obviously not perfect because of those shaker bits, but we tried to get it as close as possible. As long as it's not stark white, I think it's okay. I did play around with a couple of different blues. And then after I finished doing that, I went ahead and added on my sentiment. Now, I didn't pop it up or anything because remember, for our shaker to shake, we already have 2 layers of foam tape. So it's already a pretty thick card. So putting the sentiments on flat seemed to be what worked best for me. And then, like I said, I just staggered them. I did not do any embellishments to accent the sentiment because they kind of stair step right around the filling of the pool. I think there's more than enough going on. That it didn't really need it. And then what else did I do? I did add some shimmer with a glitter pen because I cannot help myself. Do you guys, when you make shaker cards, do you just sit and shake them for a while? Like after every step, I'm like, let me just shake this just for a minute. So I did add some shimmer pen to my little guy, to the pool liner, to the diving board. And then I added some white highlights with my white gel pen. Just, to add those little extra details that I love because they're super fun and they just make everything, look a little extra. So that's the whole card. Here's one last little shake so you can see what it looks like. And when you knock it all to the bottom, you can see those stamped lines. And then this is it. This is my summer scene card. So I hope that this inspires you to use, your different summer scenes and different characters characters. It's a really nice, easy one to put together that's super fun and interactive. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time. Don't forget to check out that sale. I'll see you next time. Bye.